What does it take to truly excel in life while staying true to yourself? In this episode, we'll explore the power of ambition and resilience with insights inspired by Roxane Gay, a trailblazing writer who shattered barriers in the literary and comic worlds. Let's dive into. This is the Knowledge Gumbo Podcast, where we mix together timeless wisdom and thought-provoking stories using quotes, sayings, proverbs, and book passages, primarily by Black women. I am your host, Alicia Thomas. Let's get into today's quote. Be relentless, be ambitious, be excellent, by Roxane Gay. Roxane Gay is one of the first women to write for Marvel Comics, contributing to the world of Wakanda and a spinoff of Black Panther. Shout out to Black Panther. When we look at this short yet powerful quote, you have to think about being resilient, but not in, I want to say, conventional thinking, where we think resilience only comes about because we've been tested. We've been battle tested. We've gone through things. And because we persevere, that makes us resilient. We look at it as us having an internal grit, so to speak, and that it only occurs in some of us who are strong enough to have the intestinal fortitude to bounce back. And I think in some instances that can be true, but I think it's those situations reveal your inner strength, reveal your ability to be resilient. I believe you have resilience in you. It's just that certain circumstances and issues bring it to the forefront for you to see it in yourself, because a lot of people don't see it in themselves. But us as a people, us as being female, it is ingrained in us to be resilient because that is what we do. That is part of who we are. And that, in a way, it helps bring balance to what we're looking at and what we're doing in our lives as far as how we affect people, how we affect our families, how we affect the workplace. Black women in particularly have had to be resilient just to keep going and not give up. Because you have instances, if you look at, I can't think of the title of the book, was it Beloved? Where you had Black women in slavery who gave up and killed their children rather than having them live in slavery. But then you had others who said, no, my children will be better and they will rise above this. And I'm going to raise them in a way that they can, or knowing that they're going to add value and that hopefully in the next generation or the generation after, based on the foundation they put in that child, that their children would be free. I believe when we look at being relentless, the being ambitious, and being excellent, we have a duty to ourselves to be the best person that we can be. We have a obligation to our families to be the best person that we can be. And especially for those of faith, you have an obligation to God to be the best person that you can be using the gifts, the skills, and the talents that He's given you, that you make this world a better place, that it is a better place when you leave than when you came. And it doesn't have to be something that's worldwide and that you affect millions of people. If you just affect positively the people in your household, the people in your life, in your sphere, you have done great things. Because that's the misconception, that I have to affect the whole world. But maybe you're in, when we're saying a ripple effect, maybe you're that first pebble. You don't know how far that ripple effect will hit, of how many people's lives will be touched, but you were smart enough to make the first ripple. You are smart enough to throw that stone in to start the process. And so I think that is one thing we have to look at when we're saying be relentless. We have to keep going, to not give up. We may have to slow down. We may have to take a pause, get ourselves collectively together, but we need to start again and start again and start again until we get through. A lot of us have to look at it from the standpoint of, when we think about relentless and being ambitious, it's all about money. But that's not the case, too. You can be relentless about being a person of integrity. You can be relentless about being a person who is generous with their time. You can be relentless about being a person who always shows up on time and you respect other people's time. And I think those kinds of things, that the little things that we don't think about when we think about being excellent, when we're going out and going after certain things, about being ambitious. And there's nothing wrong with being ambitious, because some people think that that um, leads to you making compromises, that you can't be successful and be a good person, that some kind of way, shape, or form, you're going to do something dirty in order to be successful. And that is not the case. If you live by a set of core values and you align and check yourself, your ambitions based on those values, you will get to where you need to be and how you need to get there. And it won't matter, because you will have followed. It might take you a little bit longer because you're not taking any shortcuts, but you'll get to where you need to be. And eventually, hopefully, you will get the recognition if that is what you're looking for. But for me, living a quiet life, I would rather be rich than famous. But there are a lot of people who want to be famous more than they want anything else. And I'd rather you not know my name, but me be able to move and do what I need to do, help the people I want to help, travel the way I want to travel, give in those moments when a story touches your heart, than I would somebody recognizing me in an airport, or where I can't take, my little cousins to the movies or anything like that, because people going crazy because they think they know me. Well, let me share one little story about being resilient and keeping going. There's a Black woman named Lowe, and she was a fashion designer. And she designed the wedding dress for Jacqueline Kennedy, but she didn't receive any public credit for it. because of her color. And she was often underpaid for her gifts and her talents. But instead of being bitter about it, she remained committed to the excellence of her craft, of doing what she was supposed to do as a designer. And she left a mark on American fashion, and she is now getting her recognition now, albeit posthumously, but she never shorted people on her talent based on what they were paying her, based on whether or not they let anyone know she was the one who was designing their gowns or their outfits, their couture. I mean, she was in a industry that was definitely segregated. She was forced to, enter into back doors. Even at her own fashion shows, she could not walk in the front door. But because of her talent, people kept coming. Because of her talent and her commitment to excellence, her being relentless, they kept coming. They kept paying. And eventually she was able to get to a point where her talent could not be denied. Let's look at the challenge for this week. Reflect on your core values. Ask yourself, do your ambitions align with your values? I'm asking that, like as I said previously, if they align, you will get to where you want to go. It may not be as fast as you see other people doing it, but that may not be your journey. We have to stop comparing ourselves to other people, and we have to compare ourselves to ourselves. Am I becoming a better person, or am I a better person today than I was yesterday? Am I a better person today than I was a year ago? Am I a better person today than I was 5 years ago? It's kind of like the person keeps saying, as I previously stated, one of the things I despise the most is when people say, "You know my heart." No, I know what you do. I see what you've done. I hear what you say. And that tells me what you say you value isn't true because of your actions, because of how you treat people, because of how you talk to people, because of how you handle your business. It lets me know that your ambitions and your values are not aligned. We have to honor Roxane Gay for this powerful quote, because this and other wisdom she shared in her groundbreaking memoir. It's called Hunger, a Memoir of My Body. And it looks at her pursuit of learning to accept herself, um, and her excellence as she overcame different personal traumas and societal expectations. So I think you should give that a check out, a read, a listen if you do Audible. Um, Her story is a testament to really pushing limits and looking to redefine excellence in the face of trouble and adversity. This podcast is recorded audio and video by Ecamm. Ecamm helps you show up organized and structured for your meetings, podcasts, live streams, and like this podcast offline recording. To find out more about Ecamm Live, click the link in the description. Thank you for spending time in our gumbo kitchen. Please leave a positive 5-star review on audio platforms. Like and subscribe the podcast on YouTube. Our stories and our voices, they matter. You are always welcome here in our gumbo kitchen. Bring a friend because there's always room for more at the table. Remember, the gumbo is hot and made with love. And we will see you next week.
Gather round, y'all. It's time to groove.